surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play.
Welcome to Karen Holton's podcast. Karen permanently lost 178 pounds and found happiness and success by following her own advice. She has now developed that advice into the quantum health transformation: heal, evolve, and thrive. Karen's website offers a free webinar workshop series, and you'll also find tools, methods, and practices to assist you to become the change you want to see in the world. She believes that we are all connected. Heal the planet by healing yourself. Connect with Karen at her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and through Facebook at Facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Now for the podcast.
This podcast is about showing up for work. And first, let me explain to you what I mean by work. And then I want to talk a bit about ways that we don't show up for that work and what can happen when we do show up for the work. So, just for the context of this podcast, what is the work? The work, as I see it, from my vantage point, is to be aware within myself at any present moment and be available for spirit to come into my life and to direct me to the highest good of everything. And some of you might not be interested in doing that, which is totally okay because you have free will. But in my world, I find the more I show up for work, the better my life goes, the smoother things flow, the better I feel, even to the point of I better digest my food. Everything seems to fall into place. I just have to show up for work. Now, in that moment, I'm not standing there as a zombie or anything. Showing up for work can take several forms. Like, for instance, I have an energy mat that I lay on that basically supercharges my frequencies. And while I'm there, I also try to do my best to tap into my heart chakra, also known as the heart toroidal field. Toroidal? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The Taurus energy field that the heart generates. For more information about that, go to the Heartmath Institute. Also, check out anything you can get your hands on by Gregg Braden. Gregg is with 2 G's. He's a scientist, so he presents all the woo-woo stuff from a scientific, provable perspective. But he teaches people how to achieve heart coherence. So I work on achieving heart coherence, and at the same time I'm in a state of meditation. So I try to combine those 3 techniques in one. So I'm laying on my mat, I got it set for 24 minutes, and I do the heart cohesion exercise. And by the way, the reason we want heart cohesion is because when it's fully loaded and functioning, it communicates directly from the soul to the brain. And the brain is the not-so-bright little brother of the heart. And it needs information so it can do its job. And if we're cutting off that communication, we really can get very caught up in the matrix, which is not real. Even though it seems in every way real, it's not real because the real is real. Anyway, more about that later. I'm talking about showing up to do this work. So while I'm in that state, I'm also focused on my breathing, count of 5 in, count of 5 out, nothing too hard. A little bit slip into diaphragmatic type breathing. I don't put too much energy into the technique because then I lose out on my experience. And I find the universe is extremely loving and merciful. And it steps in. We give how much we have available, which might not be much at the time, and the universe then steps in with the rest. So anyway, while I'm doing that, I'm feeling myself relax, and I'm just in an open state of mindset where I'm just open to anything, whatever comes into my mind. I try not to take it too seriously, but at the same time, I observe it, and I grab any little nuggets of learning I can from each thought and before it goes off. So anyway, while I'm in that state too, I often will channel, because at this point I'm getting pretty relaxed and I'm achieving heart cohesion, and there's nothing like it. It's really quite amazing. It is, in my opinion, better than how you would feel after having satisfactory sex or a wonderful meal, because it's just a very satisfied feeling. I can't explain it. It's quite lovely. And in that state, I also sometimes just channel all the beautiful energy I can around me, with me, within me, throughout all time and space, and I fire that back to what I perceive as God or the universe, or that lovely, beautiful thing that's interwoven into everything. And why not? Why not complete the circuit? Why not send it back instead of just take, send back too? I'm a firm believer in the whole cycle of life. Getting back to showing up for work. So showing up for work is just being present in that moment. So while I'm doing that, I usually also do the showing up for work. And then it becomes kind of clear to me what my job is for the day. And really, staying within the day helps me so much. I've got my calendar. I keep track of things I've committed to, or that I want to do, or I'm thinking of doing. Mostly I try to stay within the day, because within the day there's full of opportunities. And it's like the TARDIS from Doctor Who. You think it's a small box and you go inside and it's infinitely huge. Same thing with the day. And so by showing up for the work and saying, literally saying to whatever faith you resonates with you, saying to your higher power, I'm here. I'm here, and I'll do my best to stay focused in this moment. I have a phenomenon that a lot of starseeds and angelic beings on Earth today have, where we cry periodically, quite often even. But it's because of the channeling process. So we generally connect to our higher power before we make a podcast. And the energy is very intense. And so we slip into these little states of ecstasy or bliss, and it causes us to shed tears, but we're not at all sad. It's funny thing is, I did a podcast about this. It's the same frequency as sadness, but it's an octave higher, if that makes any sense. When you get into the math and see how all frequency music, everything is, one thing, then it makes sense. So I really recommend that you go and watch my Quantum Health Transformation series at the very least, and listen to my podcasts. A lot of them are really silly and they're not very good, but I'm doing it anyway because I'm compelled to. So anyway, that's also showing up for work. We put out to the universe, we're here, use me, whatever, and some of us who are more dedicated say whatever the cost. And that's not to be taken lightly, because the cost can be very great, and can include a lot of suffering, but it's a very fast learning process as well. When we stay present, we're watching it. So we're not just experiencing, we're watching it. When we're watching it, it takes... Well, I myself am not a 24/7 watcher. I slip into times where I'm afraid, or I have pain, or whatever distraction is happening for me, until I sort that out and get back. Because we have to do our own emotional housekeeping and mental housekeeping and three-dimensional matrix reality housekeeping, even though, we're mostly not living here anymore. Which also explains why relationships, I have always had such an easy time making friends, too many friends. It just comes natural to me. I can be very social when I'm of that frequency, but I'm finding now I'm mismatched with so many more people than ever before. Funny how energy works. But I'm not complaining because my life is ever so satisfying and ever so wonderful. It's filled with magic every day. I don't have to ask for miracles. I'm aware of them constantly all around me. It really makes living in this time easier. Which reminds me, you will want to pay attention to Nori Love, Nori, second name Love. She has some wonderful workshops and some wonderful training. I cannot recommend her enough to help you on your journey. She's a coach like me, but different. And because where we live, there is no scarcity, I have no problem recommending people that I admire and even learn from, and I get validation from. And anyway, go and check her out, please. And for all the technical stuff that's so well explained, please check out anything you can by Aage Nost, Nost. Aage is Aage. He's so full of wisdom, and he has so much to offer all of us if we just want to give him a chance and listen. And what does this have to do with showing up for work? Well, this is when I show up for work, I find these amazing people and amazing everything. And so that is what I call the work, is just being used. When we do the work, we become quantum mechanics. We're actually here to help fix the timelines and get rid of the karma. And by observing and being connected to our soul source, we intuitively just know silly stuff like I'm out lying in the sun just for 15 minutes or whatever that is in the sky these days. It's kind of debatable. And I just shoot love energy, absorb it from all around me and shoot love energy at it, whatever it is. If it's the sun, all the better. But why not shoot positive energy at things? It sounds absurd in the three-dimensional because the Matrix has no place for this. It's been covered, and all our history is lies. Check out Gaia also. It's like an alternative to Netflix, and it has all the forbidden knowledge and all the truths about how amazing, even in the 3D reality, what's being done. And these are all people who are showing up to do the work. So what are ways that we don't show up to do the work? Well, I got to tell you, the most common thing I see and what I've experienced is my own personal distractions / addictions. So I can spend a lot of time on my phone, but sometimes that is also doing the work. It's not a black-white reality. Once you step out of the matrix, you have an infinite number of opportunities at every turn. And it takes a while to realize how bent out of shape and confined we were when we start to expand and expose who we really are and see the significance of it. It's both disturbing and thrilling at the same time. I don't watch a lot of mainstream entertainment anymore because it just doesn't do it for me, when reality, the greater reality, is ever so exciting and full of adventure. So getting back to how I don't show up for work, it could be by getting lost on my phone. And that's an experience and a half, because when I'm on my phone and I'm aware, I have body sensations usually that are starting to yell at me. And I realize I've completely been somewhere where it doesn't seem to be any time, but it's clicking away here where I am. I know time's a slippery slope. I'm not debating that right now. I'm just saying go with this for a second. It's the bigger picture I'm trying to get at. Don't worry about the details. And you can research yourself anything that you question about what I say. Please research it. And don't just blindly follow what I say. That is not my intention. My intention is to give you some opportunities to see things from my vantage point. And then I say, go out from your vantage point and create. And that's another way that you can be showing up for work. You can do that even though you've got a job, even though you're sick in bed, even though it doesn't matter. You can still show up for work. It's amazing. And so, you see, what we're doing is we are actually, in a way, pieces of organite, which is why I love organite so much. It's one of my passions. Check out my organite on my website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. just looking at it and reading the descriptions will affect your frequency. If you can, print out a good quality picture of any of the pieces I have and put them up. If you can't afford to buy orgonite, there are other ways that you can get that in your life. But we also are orgonite. We are absorbing from all around us, especially from the top of our head and the bottom of our feet. And that's why I often am more cautious about what I put on my feet and how much time I leave my feet exposed to certain environments that are unnatural or man-made. And so what happens is we're absorbing all the time and we're changing as the cycles through us. And energy generally comes in on the left hand and leaves on the right. But for some people, it's opposite. And some people, it's completely different again. So, we are unique beings, right? We're not cookie cutter things like what we've been taught. Oh gosh, I'm down a rabbit hole, aren't I? Okay, everything's connected, so it's really hard for me to do the linear path. But I generally come back to what I'm talking about. Distractions, addictions. Okay, so I have a lot of people that go, Karen, I want to be able to get my own insight the way you get yours. I want to do what you do, because I tell everyone, you are all just like me. It's just, you got to, pardon me for saying this, grow a pair of big ones and show up for the work. That's all you have to do. You don't have to decide what the work is or how you'll get it done or what it means. You show up and you just do it. And sometimes you can't see right away what's happened, but then when you start to see it, you really start to dig it, right? So anyway, not showing. A lot of people want to be able to do this, and what's holding them back is they're not willing to do what I do to get this. It's a gift, but it's also, the body has to function as a machine. Again, Heartmath Institute, Google it, learn all you can about how powerful the torus field is. This is the body, this is the key. The healthy brain and healthy body is key to time travel, is key to interdimensional space travel, is key to us taking advantage of the supercomputers that we are. And it's much easier than anyone thinks, but our bodies need to be purified, and they're being so toxified. So people go, oh, what can we do? The skies are being sprayed, and our water's poison, our food's poison. Yeah, all true, but that doesn't mean that we have to be victims to it. Not at all. And we can also change that. But truly, we could use some collective unity to do this. Anyway, it's all coming and it's already happening. I've already seen it, so it's happening. I know it is. So the thing is, people are going, oh, I really need what you need. Tell me what supplements you're taking, because that's the easiest for them to just go start taking pills, right? Well, we all got to start somewhere. But you need to move on from that and get to the point where you are taking the time to meditate every day. And it's awkward as hell. It's awkward as hell. None of this is fun. None of this is pretty. But you get through that crap because you detoxify, and then you get into real living, okay? So they won't meditate. They won't reduce the amount of food-like substances and that they're consuming every day. I'm not even going to say eating. They're just consuming it. They're not reducing that. They're not paying attention to their shadow self. So, oh, yeah, they don't like mean people, but then they don't see all the times they're mean. And showing up for the work puts you in that position where you do see yourself, and it's very disturbing. Hell, I don't want to see any of it, but I just keep coming back to it, and as I do, it dissolves, and then I get a confidence, and I go, okay, this is the process. Just, I got to grow a big pair and do the process. So anyway, they don't seem to make time for showing up for work. So for instance, they might spend forever and a day obsessing over what their sister-in-law said or did, or doesn't do things the way we think she should, or God knows what, right? This is just one tiny example. You all got them. You all know what I'm talking about, right? And how this can just keep coming back round and round and round like a hamster wheel, and you're running all day on this. Day after day after day. Are you being an effective filter? Are you being an effective piece of orgonite, like one of my organites? I don't think so. I don't see how you can. Maybe you are, but I don't know. And I know it's your journey and none of my business, and I'm totally okay with that. But I just want you to hear my words for a few minutes and see what sinks in. See, I was going to give up doing podcasts because they're pretty crappy to me. the way they sound, and they're just, a lot of them are really scrambly, and it's just how it is for me sometimes. It's the best I got, right? And so I was talking to my higher self about this because I was showing up for work that day too. And I said, look, I'm making a fool out of myself and I don't seem to be getting anywhere. And maybe it's harming my business. And my business, by the way, is the same thing as my intention and my reason for being on earth. It's all one. I combine everything into one. That way I just can deal with it. And it seems to be working. So you know what my higher self said to me? Said to me, Karen, who are you to show up for work and say, let me be a channel for you. Let me do your work in this world. And then criticize that work and not want to send it out. I know I'm crying again, but it's okay. You know why now. So it's because I can sense the enormity of this concept I'm talking about. It's huge. And I'm so inadequate, but I'm showing up for work because it's what I do now. It's a beautiful work. It's the best job I ever had. Anyway, yeah, who was I? And the other thing that one of my guides revealed to me that I didn't see before was that there are codes embedded, because I'm not just channeling from the universe. And in some of the more scrambled ones, I'm just channeling. It's like speaking tongues, right? And it's just coming out and I'm recording it. And there are codes in that. So somebody might listen to one of my podcasts and get something that changes their life, and I would never even know about it. And I'm not being so arrogant as to say that's true. I'm just saying this possibility, right? So I started making more podcasts and publishing the ones that I have made. They're available on my website and under free resources. And again, Karen Holton, healthcoach.com. Holton has 2 O's, Holton. And check out what I do. And if it inspires you in any way, please do show up for work. Anyway, so these people who want what I have, they don't want to meditate. They don't want to change how they eat. They don't want to start to detoxify. They sure as the hell don't want to look at their coffee consumption or their cigarettes consumption or their pain medicine or their alcohol or their shopping or whatever. It can be anything. We need to disengage from the three-dimensional construct every day to regain a measure of health and sanity, and in order for us to fulfill our purpose on why we're here on earth. It makes no sense to me why a benevolent and merciful system would want me to keep coming back time after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, only to be tortured and abused and to torture and abuse. That makes no sense to me. In the long run, it's supposed to be a purification system. But when there are technologies, not mentioning any names like religion or science or any of the other things like technological advancement, so-called, where pretty much everything man-made is toxic. I hate to lay it out to you. I use it, of course. I live in this world, and this is the part of me that does that. But when I show up for work, I can start doing something about it. And I'll just give you one more quick story. Well, it's on other podcasts, but it's about my external shield. I started developing an external shield as a response to some of the UVCs that are hitting the earth and all the EMF and everything else. And I needed a shield that was not in the three-dimensional because it would be a problem for me to get around and function. So I built it in the 4th, 5th, and beyond. And it still works. Anything that's on a higher dimensional reality affects everything below it. So thank God we can't screw up anything above 3D. Although I have to say with CERN and nuclear fission and fusion, etc., we're probably encroaching where we shouldn't be encroaching. But that's another story, another podcast. So show up for work, That means doing the right thing even though it's hard. It means growing a pair. It means taking responsibility for our lives, for our situation. I got myself into this situation. I can get myself out. Look back at my life, see all the times I let me down, all the times I didn't provide properly for myself, mentally, physically, spiritually. Take responsibility for that. I'm not blaming myself. Actually, I look back and I have great compassion on how well I did with what little I had to work with. So thing is, I'm going to keep making podcasts because that's part of my showing up for work. But I encourage all of you to show up for work and just try little bits. Just have a willing spirit. That's 99% of it. And don't be surprised if your communities fall apart and dissolve. Oh my goodness, the richness you will find in the communities of other ascending beings. I say ascending because there's a fine line between, well, there isn't even a line, but one can become overconfident once one gets to a certain level of understanding. And in my reality, I believe that it's just a constantly evolving process. This is what we thrive on. Without challenges, without contrast, life has no juiciness. You know, ecstasy is just an octave above joy, which is an octave above sadness. Anyway, I know now I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop. But I just want to encourage y'all to show up for work every day, just for a few minutes, and make it longer and longer. And pretty soon you'll want it so badly, it's all you can think about. When I'm embedded in the construct, you know, when I have to go out into the three-dimensional world and be part of mainstream, oh, I can only do it for short periods of time. And I'm socially awkward, thank goodness, because I wasn't always like this. But anyway, it makes it, I don't have the context for a lot of other people in a lot of situations. I've lost the context because I spent so much time in New Paradigm Reality. And there, it's really, really different. Oh, listen to my podcasts. I'm telling you the honest truth as I experience it. Anyway, I want y'all to have a good week. I want y'all to have a good day. Today is good. Look at all the nooks and crannies amongst the noise and the busyness and just desire some space and it will unfold for you. And then you can get things done that it's almost like they're done, but you didn't spend any time there. I can't even explain it. Use your gift. You're an amazing, marvelous machine. Use it and enjoy it. And whatever your situation, improve it. Put on some music, pet your cat. Send a loving text to someone maybe you haven't talked to or communicated with for a long time. Just do some little thing. And while you're doing it, show up for the work. It's lovely. So I love all of you. I really feel you in my heart. I spend a lot of time alone because when I go out into reality, oh my God, it's huge. It's so huge. And because I see things on a different level, I got to get home to recharge and process all the data, all that juicy data. So anyway, take care. Love you so much.
Surrendering to endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to okay.